Hello, and welcome to PSYWAR, a weekly podcast of the 8th Psychological Operations Group, Airborne, where we give people an inside look at the Psychological Operations Regiment. Welcome back to PSYWAR. This week we're discussing the Option 37 program, also known as the 37 X-Ray program. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Mike Dean. With me today is my new co-host, Sergeant First Class Brian Klein. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. And then with us today to discuss today's topic, I have Brad from Nevada and Troy from New York, recent graduates of the PSYOP qualification course. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Glad
us.
to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you guys coming out. This is going to be exciting because you guys are going to provide some of the perspective. We get a lot of questions on the program, what it's like to go through the program. You definitely have to have an enduring will, so to speak, because I think we mentioned earlier you guys been in the program for, training start to finish about 2 years, roughly.
Yeah, just a little over 2 years.
So we'll get more into that and how you feel about that. But really, the first thing I want to kind of discuss, and we'll start over here, is how did you hear about PSYOP?
So really I didn't know anything about PSYOP until I was at MEPS. I was initially going in for a 35 mic contract and didn't score high enough on the D-Lab. So when I was talking to the recruiter at MEPS, he offered me the 37 Fox contract, or the 37 X-ray contract.
Right.
Really had no idea, but I really wanted to learn language through training, and that was part of the jobs qualification course, so that's really why I went with it.
Okay, and so let me take a step back. So you decided to join the Army. What brought you to that decision?
So when I was in college, I was part of the ROTC program.
Okay.
So I was pursuing a career as an officer, but I wasn't really happy in college, and it was expensive, so
Yep.
I decided to enlist because I was going to go that route anyways, so
Okay.
that's really what brought me to that position.
Okay. No. All right. So that's good background. So switch it over to Troy. So Army first, and then why PSYOP?
Got it. So kind of in the same boat as him. I did 2 years of college, and I just wasn't happy. I was changing my major over and over again, and I decided I was wasting money, wasting time. So I always thought about joining the Army, and I just decided to do it. And then for the 37 X-ray contract, same boat as him again. I was going for 35 mic, didn't score high enough on the D-Lab, and my recruiter was just throwing jobs out there, and I thought psychological operations sounded really cool, and he said it was special operations, language, airborne. I was sold right there.
Cool.
So
I know you don't have a lot of background to kind of gauge it off of, because most folks that come into this have been in service for a while. I'd say our average, soldier that transitions over is probably somewhere between 4 to 6 years in the Army. So how does that, for you guys, how does that make you feel coming in, basically street to seat, so to speak? How do you guys feel at this point, getting ready to hit the regiment?
So it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. Like, there's a lot of parts of the Army, just the bureaucracy and everything that everyone kind of knows how to navigate already, and we see it, and it's just totally foreign to us. But I think the benefit of it is we're kind of a blank slate. There's a lot of people who need to unlearn things that they're doing, and we're just primed and ready to learn what we need to learn. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and going off that too, just the quality of life that we've had at 5th Battalion as in training. I can say from all the people that I went to basic training and OSA with that are military police right now, definitely don't have the same quality of life, and just the amount of training that I've gotten over the past 2 years.
So definitely feel like it's worth it so far?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I guess let's take a step into the next, really, the appeal. You mentioned a little bit like airborne and language, and that's kind of the soft prerequisites. You're going to go do that if you're a part of special operations. So aside from that, you guys were interested in intel, but now they're talking PSYOP. What was really the piece of PSYOP that intrigued or was appealing to you guys?
So I just wanted to be able to I guess, experience different cultures and like kind of get to the human side of things and not really have to work behind a desk necessarily, and get that experience traveling and everything. So that was the big draw for me.
Okay.
Same. When I was in the recruiting office, they showed me I think one of like the old recruiting videos where it had the Humvee with the loudspeaker attached on top, and they're like playing messaging and doing all this stuff, and it looked really cool, as most Army recruiting videos do. But then once I had gotten back from MEPS, doing the research that I could find, and just a lot of the history was really what kept me like intrigued about it, was just where PSYOP has evolved from World War I to now.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. We had, I want to say it was last year, 100 years anniversary of like formal psychological operations in the U.S. military. It goes all the way back to World War One. But when you really think about it and you really pay attention to world history, PSYOP has been done for ages. This is just really the modern era, of PSYOP in terms of the United States. So I'm jealous of you guys because I'm the old guy now. I'm the old guard. I've got a few years left in me, but at the end of the day, you guys are the new era, picking up the banner and driving it forward. So I think you guys are hitting the regiment at a really good time. We talk about the modern era, but we're really in the modern era of information technology and information warfare. So I think having the young, fresh perspective that you guys bring is going to be good for the regiment. So I'm glad you guys decided to choose PSYOP over some of the other stuff that was out there.
So I'm really curious as to how your journey from saying I will defend to where you're at now, how did that actually go about? Like, talk to me about the process. So you went to OSET with the MPs. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's definitely a different experience. I mean, all basic training is shell shock at first, the first 9 weeks, standard across the Army. But then transitioning into MPOSA and knowing that you're learning all of this information, but at the end of the day, it's not really going to apply for what your ultimate goal is of getting selected and going to selection. So it's definitely, you need that like extra piece of motivation to push yourself through that. But it's just you're kind of looked at differently by the drill sergeants because you're not, they're training you, but you're not going to be part of their regiment at the end of the day.
A little bit of a stigma there.
So I totally understand that. I was 11 Bravo drill sergeant, and we looked at our 11 X-rays, the guys that were going to special operations or special forces, and we looked at them kind of different than we did everyone else. At the same token, though, we always trained them to the same standard because a lot of those guys fail, and guess where they end up?
Right.
They end up in the infantry divisions. How about you? What was your thoughts about the?
It was kind of the same. I mean, I've always been like an athlete and everything, so it really wasn't too bad getting there. But like he said, getting to the MP portion was just, so it's really hard to, when you're sitting through law classes for like 8 hours a day, and you're like, I don't need to know this at all. But you do what you gotta do to stay awake so you don't get smoked. But it's pretty interesting to see all that in action though, and get to see that side of like the MP world. But it was just counting down the days to get here, really.
So that's right. So you guys graduate and then you come straight here for assessment and selection?
So we went through the preparation and conditioning course first, and then generally a month after that, we went to selection.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So
What was it like?
I actually had a interesting route. So I came here in November of 2018, and my first go through the preparation and conditioning course, I tore my patella in my left knee.
Oh,
So I was on crutches for a few months, and then got off profile, had about 2 weeks back to training and everything, and then I had a lot of time before I went back to the conditioning course. So they sent me straight to airborne, passed that, got back, right back to the conditioning course. 2 weeks later, selection, passed that. A month later, BLC, straight to language after that. So after that initial waiting period, after I got hurt, it was kind of just one after the next after that. So it's pretty rapid fire stuff.
awesome.
I was a little more streamlined. I went, got here January 1st, 2019. The next week, in process, and went straight into the conditioning course. Went up to selection end of February. Got selected, and then 2 weeks later, I was done at Fort Benning for airborne school. got a week off, and then went to BLC. So I was a lot more streamlined and didn't have any injuries going through. But
Sure.
As of now, they do send people to airborne school first before they come here. We were just the few odd classes
Okay.
earlier in the course that we're doing, coming here first, then going to airborne school.
Okay. So normal track, you finish MPOs at Airborne, then you show up to SWIC
Yes.
to
Right.
start the pipeline, and that's the prep course that you talked about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the prep course? Because I know there's not a lot of information out there, and it's a fairly new piece of the course that's over there.
So that was just a lot of rucking and just getting you prepared for selection in that, what do we ruck, twice a week, I think, and 2 workouts a day. And in between those, you were in the classroom. So like all of us don't have any prior Army experience. They went through a lot of kind of like basic soldiering classes with us and just whatever you needed to prepare for selection. So I thought it was really useful. Definitely gave us a leg up because there was a lot of things in there that I don't think the conventional side really sees. So I think we actually kind of had a leg up at selection, in my opinion. So
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Just the conditioning course really does get you physically and mentally prepared for going through selection. Just every day, you're going to be waking up at 4 in the morning to hop in a van with your rock and go rock for a couple miles in one of the areas, and then come back and have a full day of class. So it just kind of gets you ready for those long days and a lot of physical exercise.
No.
So it takes all types. I love to ruck. Do you guys like to ruck, or is that like one of the things you're just like grudgingly going through?
yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of rucking. I'm not too bad at it, but I would prefer pretty much anything over a ruck, to be honest. So
I'm kind of the opposite. I don't like long distance running. I'll just throw on a rock and just go for a couple 12 miles, 3 hours is fine.
See, there we go.
Yep.
I got you. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, no, the whole running part of the Army has never been anything that I've agreed with. I'm of like mind with you two. I would rather walk with a ruck any day than go for a run. So it's good you've healed fully. I mean, they gave you the chance to kind of heal and get back into it. So that's good. Talk a little bit about the mental aspect, because we get a lot of questions on selection specifically. And I know we can only say so much because it's close hold. But how the prep course prepared you for the mental side of it, of selection.
So we do a lot of working with the human engagement trainers over at the SWIC side of things. So what they do is they help you with just being mentally prepared for a lot of stressful situations where you're not going to know what the right answer is, because that's a lot of what happens out in a lot of those situations you're put into. Is it's hard to get this is right, this is wrong. So just being mentally prepared to have to think through in a short amount of time of what the right answer is. They do a lot with that and just getting you mentally tough to deal with. I mean, 10 days may not seem like a long time, but when you're don't really have any sense of time and everything's just blending together, it can be challenging.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the best thing that they prepared us for was the basically not, what we like to say is not self-selecting. So just having that ability to bounce back after you don't think you did too well on a lane or an evaluation, and to just not psych yourself out and just go into the next evaluation with your best foot forward.
No, that's a common theme. I say it all the time. We get a lot of guys and gals that just they psych themselves out and they tell themselves they can't do it, or some of them don't even take the step that you guys have taken and say, yeah, I want to go this direction with my career. And so give the assessors a chance to do their job.
So after airborne, which is just standard airborne school, you go to basic leaders course.
Okay.
And we did that out at Camp McCall with all the special forces and civil affairs guys that are going through their pipelines as well. And I think it's just a great experience just to be out there with the different tribes, because we do work a lot in just every aspect of our job together. So having that early exposure, something that I definitely think needs to happen more frequently, just so it's more common when you're doing something or doing a joint training with them that, hey, I went to BLC with you, and you just have that easier connection to be able to be part of their team and help them out how you can.
No, absolutely. Rapport's hard to build sometimes, so having that in already is a big help. You have any unique experiences with BLC?
Not really. I mean, it was an interesting course. It was a lot of book work for that, so not the best, but you get some field experience out there, and like you said, just I still have friends that I talk to all the time from out there in the different tribes, so building that rapport and getting those connections is definitely good.
Yeah, the benefit of basic leader course is stuff you don't see anymore. You're not going to see for a while. See, when I went through, it was WLC, Warrior Leader course, and it's nothing like what you guys had to go through. They've changed it so that you have to do more writing and more research, but it exposes you right now. You guys are coming from outside the Army to sergeants, and to staff sergeant positions and sergeant first class positions. You have to have that little bit of exposure to the regular Army, and that's kind of what that course is. Do you think that is going to help you? That exposure to regular Army stuff is going to help you when you actually get to your units?
Absolutely. I think like having no experience, we saw some of the DA forms and all that good paperwork that you got to do.
Oh, yeah.
So not having seen those ever before, and then getting a little experience on counselings and stuff like that, definitely just going to make it a little easier to transition once we go into those roles as NCOs. So
I'd agree that definitely the exposure, doing daily situation reports and just going through all of those standard lines, and then getting real feedback from all the cadre members out there about not only their time on the special operations side, but time that they had in the regular Army and how all of this balances out and fits in.
No, that's good. It's good. It's a good foundation. I know you guys, you probably feel like you're behind the curve, and there's still going to be a lot to learn. But at the same time, being open to the different experiences and taking it in, it's a good to have that sponge type attitude, because it's just there's gonna be more. You're gonna hit the force, and now you're gonna expect to know those things, but then we're also gonna tell you to get ready for a mission, and that mission could be anywhere in the world, and you could be leaving a month from now, 2 months from now, whatever the case may be, depending on where you guys end up. So it's all good experiences for you guys to be able to bring that in, and just having the positive attitude, because I know what it's. I mean, not to your level. I went through infantry OSIT, and then I went to airborne school, and I was done. Like, they were asking people for volunteers to go to RASP, or what used to be called RIP, for Ranger Regiment, and I was like, you want me to do more training? I'm done. I want to go to a unit, and I want to get after it. So it's just a good testament to you guys to be able to continue to drive through, continue learning new things, being that sponge, but it doesn't stop here. So just remember that when you guys hit your formations, continue to be that sponge, continue to be motivated. At that point now, you're doing the job, so it's going to be a little bit different. You're not necessarily training to get qualified. You're training for a mission. So just kind of have that in the back of your mind.
So tell me, guys, what is next for you? So you've completed the course. You are 37s. Where are you going from here?
Going to regiment should be next week sometime. So that's extremely exciting to just finally be done and just get over there, get to meet everyone. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, same boat, going over to regiment. And yeah, it's been a long wait, definitely. Almost 2 years in the Army, and there's definitely that feeling of I just want to go do my job.
Yeah.
I'm ready. And yeah, it just, time slows as you're just waiting for training, and you're just like, I just want to go. I just want to do something. But it's definitely, from everyone that I've talked to that's already at regiment and the people that we graduated the course with, it's definitely something that's worth the wait and worth the time and effort that it's taken to get to this point.
Okay. So you guys know where you're going yet?
Yeah,
Which
I'm going to 5th Battalion.
Okay, so you're going 5th Battalion.
Yeah,
So it's over in 4th Group.
Yeah, and I'm going 9th Battalion.
9th
over
Battalion,
in
8th Group. Okay, perfect. And you guys have any familiarity? I'm assuming your language is an Asian language.
Yeah, Tagalog.
Tagalog.
South of the
All
Philippines.
right. Nice.
I speak Spanish.
Spanish. Okay. Well, 9th Battalion is global,
Yeah.
so anybody could be there. So, but did you guys have language beforehand before you came? Because I know you said you guys were in college. Sometimes people come in with language.
I didn't have it. Well, I mean, I took it in college, but it was German, and they don't offer that. So.
Okay.
High school Spanish was about as far as I went. So.
But they still threw you into Spanish anyway.
Yeah, they do. They do a pretty good job. We have friends that are in language school right now, and
Right.
some of my friends studied Mandarin, and now they're learning Mandarin, or they studied Russian, so they're learning Russian.
Okay.
So
Nice.
they do pretty well at aligning you to a language that you might be already familiar with, or they feel like you can actually.
No.
For those of you who are listening, Troy's over here shaking his head, saying no, they don't. And that's actually my experience, is that they don't really care what your background is, because they're gonna
So-
put you where they need you.
They also give you a kind of a choice for your top 3 picks at selection, and I had Tagalog nowhere on that. So.
Really?
See, that's my experience, right?
Other
That's
side of
across
the
the
world.
Army.
Yeah.
They tell you pick your top 3, and you do, and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna take you to Timbuktu. Okay.
Very random.
Hey, Spanish was #1 for me, and I got it. So.
A lot of it's timing, and that's the unfortunate thing. Is even with the Army, a lot of stuff is timing based. So you could have had 3 languages on there that historically have been trained and have been priority, but then that one time you showed up and they're like, he's got this score. We need this guy in this language. 2 and 2. Yep, here we go. That's what you got. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately,
some
that's the
aspect.
Army. Sometimes it is just a numbers game.
Yeah. But I will say I am of like mind in the aspect that having been an instructor over there and seen kind of the process and trying to make it work for the soldier, they do try hard. And I will say there's one-offs, like one of my OICs, he's a Russian speaker. Never wanted to speak Russian. Got the super low D-Lab score, which means he shouldn't have really been studying Russian. That's what he got. It was just timing. That's what they needed. They needed officers with Russian, and he actually came out of the schoolhouse. I don't know what was your score when you came
1+.
out? 1+.
But
Okay.
I'm actually very happy that they assigned me that. I was really interested, and the whole learning a little bit about the culture of the Philippines was very interesting. So I'm actually excited to deploy over in that region. So it worked out.
No, I mean, really, it's testament to the schoolhouse. Having no background in it, and you come out as a 1+, so you're almost an intermediate level speaker, which is good. And then hopefully you get some experiences on deployment, and that'll help bring that up. I can attest to Spanish. That's my language. I've done several rotations, and so your Spanish will get better. If you're not using it, there's something wrong, and that's any language. Wherever you go, use the language as much as you can to improve. You guys talked about where you're going, battalions. So moving forward, what are your career expectations? So you've been in the Army for a little over 2 years, or going on 2 years. You're new to the regiment, new to the Army still, kind of. What does it all mean? What's the future hold for you guys?
I'm kind of just playing it by ear right now. I don't know if I'm gonna make this a career or not. So I'm just gonna keep an open mind, see what training opportunities come around, deployments and everything, and if all goes well, I guess I'll re-enlist until the money's not enough.
For me, I'm really excited to get on a deployment and actually apply what our job is and do it. At the same time, I'm always open for more training and just to be as tactically proficient as I can at doing the job, and wherever it takes me, it takes me. So I'm really excited to just get that experience in whatever aspect I can.
No, there's a lot of opportunity. You said something earlier when we were talking outside about kind of the variety. Can you just mention, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was something about just the variety of experiences.
Yeah, so from people that I've talked to that have been at the regiment, everyone has wildly different experiences through all the different regions and all the different mission sets they have. And just ranges where you're going and what you'll be doing, but just that we have a lot of autonomy in what we do, and it's a job that's hard to describe, but the methods are really sound and set, so applying it isn't that difficult. So you just get it applied in so many different aspects, and you can just really create something different that's hard to find in a lot of other jobs in or out of the Army.
Okay. What do you think about that?
Kind of like what he said, there's a lot of instructors and people we've talked to, and you could see, like you mentioned before, on back-to-back deployments, the person who's replacing you is on a totally different page, doing a totally different thing. So just the dynamic of never knowing where you're going to be, what you're going to do, I find that really exciting. It's something you always got to adapt to, so it keeps you on your toes, and that's a really, really awesome thing, in my opinion. You don't get set in that mundane routine.
Right. No, you definitely get a lot of latitude on your operations. I mean, even in your training, you guys will see it. Your attachment leadership will be building your training plans. You're going to get trained. Like, the training doesn't stop here. I think we talked about it earlier. You're continually getting ready for the next thing, whatever that is. You know, if you're going to the Philippines, or you're going to one of the 9th Battalion AORs, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, any named, and I mean, they're global, so that we've sent people, 9th Battalion sent people to South America in the past. And so, wherever you're getting ready to go to, you're going to continue to prep for that mission. And so, kind of going back to what we talked about at the beginning, your training doesn't stop. So you're done, so to speak. You're MOS qualified. You're hitting the force. Now you're here to work, and you're gonna get the opportunity to work, and you're gonna get the opportunity to train to prepare for that work. And so all those opportunities, the variety, to see different things, it's gonna be there. You guys are gonna be busy. You're definitely hitting the regiment in a great time. Again, I'm somewhat envious because you're still young. You just hit it. If you're gonna do the career, you've got lots of opportunity to see a lot of different aspects of the regiment. So, I've only got a few years left, and then be passing the baton to you guys. Maybe one day you guys will be the future CSMs in the regiment. It'd be kind of cool to see. Look back and say, I remember, sitting and talking about this. I just graduated the Q course. Did you have any preconceived notions about what you were getting into, or were there any stereotypes that you had heard or that came up that you had to think about or address?
Or even at basic training where you got all these guys coming in as MPs, what'd they think of you guys being PSYOPers?
Well, a little bit on the, I can get that later, but a little bit on the preconceived just stereotypes and notions. Probably the biggest one was leaflets and loudspeakers. Okay. So you guys are leaflets and loudspeakers, and that's a very broad, just, okay, what does that have to do with anything? And, well, yes, leaflets, loudspeakers are a part of our job, and something that we employ very often, but that's just not what the job is. It's not just getting on a loudspeaker or printing off a product. It's what the message actually means, what it's trying to do, what the overall effect and goal of that is to happen. It's just not as plain and simple as a lot of the information you get out is PSYOP does this, but there's not a lot of why.
Okay. Anything?
Kind of on the same note. My recruiter didn't even know what it was, and he just showed me the booklet that had all the little 2-sentence descriptions on the job.
Right.
And I was like, that sounds cool. There's another recruiter in the office who was a ranger, and I asked him about it, and he said the same thing. He was just like, leaflets, and that's about all I know about you guys. So it was like TBT guy was hanging around a lot, but never saw him do anything.
Well, that is a problem for the regiment, right? They see leaflets and loudspeakers, and we take photos of that because it's us doing something, but they don't see what we're really doing. And I can see how you guys got that notion, but you know better now, right?
Oh,
Absolutely, yeah.
So if somebody said that to you now, what would you say? What would your responses be?
Definitely explain the why. You might see leaflets and loudspeakers, but there's a lot of behind the scenes work that's really involved and hands-on that we do, and it's constantly changing, updating, and we're constantly trying to meet that margin of just being the best at psychological operations in the world and just keeping up to that standard with all the new technology and means to use dissemination methods coming out.
Okay. Anything to add or
No, I
anything
think
different?
that covers it. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good. So, what I like to tell people is, yes, we do that. That is a way, but it's not the only way. And I'm glad you mentioned emerging technology, because that is also a way, and that's why we are heavily invested in the cyber realm, space realm, because that is, when you talk about information warfare, that's where people are competing in the information space now. When you're talking about near-peer threats. Now, if we're talking about third world countries, maybe it's still leaflets and loudspeakers. But if we're talking about those first world countries that we have, a continuous dialogue and have a regular, chest bumping contest or chest thumping contest, it's going to be the prior, cyber and space realm. And so we run the gamut all the way through. My favorite phrase, courtesy of the 8th Group Commander, is high tech, low tech, or no tech. High tech, cyberspace. Low tech, leaflets and loudspeakers. No tech, interpersonal communication. This right here, and I think that really hits the mark, and it's a good descriptor of how we do what we do, which is behavior change, influence. So, do you have any other questions?
No, I wanted
Those
to know
guys?
about the MP guys. What they think about you being
Oh, that's
PSYOP.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You said you had a story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just, especially for anybody considering going this route, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to discourage you.
Sure.
Especially through the NPO set, not to harp on any drill sergeants because it's part of their job. But there's a lot of, you're going to a special operations selection, probably not going to make it. That's just the cut and dry of what they'll tell you, because people, the selection process is hard and it's there for a reason. And there's a lot of people that come from the regular Army that don't make the selection process. So how is somebody that's brand new, cut and dry, doesn't know anything, supposed to go out there and make it? So that's a lot of the preconceived notions, is that, well, you might as well give it all you have here because you're going to be MP in a couple months. So
Now, I may be
So-
guilty of saying similar things to the 18 X-ray program guys too, and a lot of guys that end up in that program, they do end up back on the street with for me it was the infantry regiments. For them, it's the MP units. So I can see where they're saying that, but again, it goes back to that mental resiliency.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because they're essentially doing their own little PSYOP campaign on you, because it makes their job probably a little bit easier. I don't know, but there's always going to be pride, in your regiment, because to them, they're losing something because they're training you to do a certain skill set, and then once you get selected, well, now they've lost out on that. So maybe there's a little jealousy there, pride and jealousy. I could see that, but at the same time, to your point, don't self-select. Don't listen to them. Push through. If this is what you want to do, push through it, because at the end of the day, the selection is going to do its job. And I think that's good to hear. Were you guys the same time period?
No, I was just before him. A few
Okay.
months earlier.
Anything similar in that aspect, or?
Yeah, the drill sergeants were always, just telling you, pack it up, man. You're not gonna make it. So I never let that get to me. What was interesting was I was there with a group of other X-rays, and none of us knew what the job was really. So all the other MP trainees are asking like, "What is PSYOP? What do you do?" And you just hear people come up with the most outlandish things like,
Let me guess. You're CIA,
Yeah,
Jedi
like,
mind tricks. Okay.
spies going to foreign countries undercover and stuff.
Oh my goodness!
And everyone else just has no clue because everyone was on different pages, so we're all giving them different answers and everything. I just would straight up say I don't know, and that didn't change until about 5 months ago. Whenever anyone asked me what I do, I was like, I have no idea yet. So
Learning.
that was definitely interesting to just watch that unfold every day.
My favorite part of NPOSA was definitely, I won the leadership award out there,
Okay.
and I'll never be an MP. So Just get to carry all those MP coins with me for the rest of my time.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. So what would you say to those drills that, were giving you guys such a hard time if you saw them again?
I don't know. I did it, so save any colorful language, but yeah, proved you wrong, man.
Just probably tell them have fun at the PMO.
Yeah.
As a former drill sergeant, I'll tell you honestly, if you saw them, well, one, they might not remember you because
Yeah.
we just see so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, if you told them, hey, I made it, they'll be proud of you.
Yeah.
They really don't. Well, I can't speak for them, but from my own experiences, we're drill sergeants. We don't want to see you fail. We want to see you succeed. We just need your focus and attention on what's here and now.
Yeah.
That's why they probably are a little bit discouraging on that because that's future. They want you to
Yeah.
pass OSET now.
Yes.
I mean, I did.
So
have,
don't tell them the colorful
Yeah.
language.
I did have a sidebar conversation with one of my drill sergeants about that very thing. He pretty much said that almost verbatim. He's like, we want you to focus on the here and now. If you make it through this, then you can focus on that. So,
Well, everybody will
Yeah.
always remember their drill sergeants. I still, to this day, almost 19 years ago, I still remember their names. If I saw them, I would remember them. So I think that's probably one of the first things that you get in your Army experience that you probably will never forget. But at the end of the day, they are NCOs, they're trainers. They want to see soldiers succeed. And then I will say, you gained knowledge that you probably don't realize is valuable right now because you haven't found a reason to use it yet. But you may find yourself in a position to where it becomes valuable. So don't just completely dump it. And I say that because, for myself, I was a former infantryman. That knowledge and skill came into play on multiple times, through my career as a PSYOPer. So you still have a valuable skill that was taught to you that could be beneficial to you as a PSYOPer because it gives you a different lens to look at a mission set, to understand things. And to really, like I said earlier, you guys are going to have a lot of latitude on your missions. Well, that's now a new way, you could look at solving a problem potentially because of what you've been taught before. I don't know squat about what MPs do other than write me tickets. And I know they do a lot of other things, and they absolutely have a purpose, and why they exist. But beyond, again, writing me tickets, I'm jaded because I have an MP story, but I'm going to leave it at that.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
You still have been given a particular skill set that could be beneficial on a mission set. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you move forward, career-wise.
Well, you guys were talking about not knowing what you were doing when you came in. So if you could go back and talk to the Tony and to the Brad of 2.5 years ago, what's kind of some of the messages that you would want to tell them to kind of, talk about PSYOP, talk about what they're about to get themselves into. And please don't say, don't do it, man, don't do it. No. What would you guys say to yourselves?
you want to start that off?
If I was to tell myself how to explain PSYOP to a bunch of other basic trainees sitting in a room, I'd probably just tell them that it's going to deal a lot with changing behavior and influence. Those are the two biggest things, and causing effects. It's what our ultimate goal is, to have effects on certain target audiences and change behavior. So that's how I would try to frame that, and how to explain PSYOP is we want to have those effects and we want to change and influence behavior.
I think the biggest thing I would tell prior me was to prepare for the long haul, because I really didn't expect it to take this long, and I think it's getting better in the sense that pipeline is getting a lot less white space. There's a lot of times I was waiting around for the next step in the course, whether it be airborne or BLC, and I think that was one of the things that really, if anything, dampened my mood throughout it. It was just sitting around waiting to go to the next phase. So just to be more prepared for that mentally was definitely something I wish I had.
If there's somebody that's sitting in your shoes, sitting in New York, sitting in Nevada, or wherever in the country, that's thinking about the Army, thinking about a career field, what would you tell them, especially if they get an opportunity to choose PSYOP? Is there anything you would want to tell them?
From the limited experience I have in the PSYOP world now, I would say go for it. I mean, the possibilities seem endless. I've met so many great people throughout this course, and it's really opened my eyes to how I kind of view the world through all of this. Everything you see on social media, the news on a daily basis, it really has changed the way I look at everything. So I think it's definitely matured me a lot, and probably only mature me more. So I think possibilities are endless, and I would say go for it. Even if you don't like it, you'll come out with so many different experiences, and you'll have learned so much that can't be a waste. So go for it.
Yeah, really, and just putting yourself out there, because being able to take that step and knowing that you're going to be going through a long journey and a hard one at that a lot of people aren't able to do. I really like getting by challenging myself to take the next step, push myself to do better in this or that, whether it be from a workout to going through this entire pipeline. It's just always been, all right, I did that, what's next? And if you want a challenge, this is definitely something that's challenging, and just now being able to use creativity and things like that in a job set is just something very different than what I expected when I enlisted into the Army.
Okay. No, definitely two good, very good points. Gentlemen, definitely appreciate you guys coming out, providing that perspective. It's been needed. So hopefully, again, those guys that are in your shoes now, where you were, a couple years ago, will have some good, fresh information that they can, hear and get from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And then hopefully, we'll see them in the regiment in a couple years. Thanks for joining us for today's broadcast. If you have any comments, put them in the comments section below. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and follow us at 8PSYOP Group on Instagram and Facebook. We'll see you next time.